Good evening. I'd like to call the special called meeting at 6 p.m. for the city of San Juan. May we rise for the invocation? Mr. Arjona, can you lead us in an invocation, please?
Our heads. Dear Lord, thank you for your blessings you have bestowed upon us. Guide our hearts, our minds in the spirit of fairness as we discuss the city of San Juan next fiscal year's budget. Help us in reaching successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance, always and today. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May be seated.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. The first item that we have is the discussion and possible election on adopting a resolution opposing the Senate Bill number 4. We have a good crowd here that they want to worry and give us some words or thoughts on that Senate Bill number 4 opposing the bill.
Sir, you can come up to the podium. State your name for the record, please.
Marco López with La Unión del Pueblo Entero.
Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to say that I know you guys are going to vote on making a resolution today, and SB4 is not, it's been a threat to our community. A lot of community members are actually scared that since this bill has been in place, like there's no trust with the police officers and sheriffs and university officers, and we're trying to show that the cities are going to support the communities just like they have in other cities as well. And we're hoping that you guys will vote today on the side of the community and not on this bill that seems very racist.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So let me go ahead and read that resolution at this. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't see you. What's your name, sir? For the
My
record?
name's Abraham. I've been living in the city of San Juan for a very, very long time. I grew up going to Clover Elementary, Austin Middle School, PSJ High grad, recent grad of UTRGV. So I lived in this city for, decades already. And I want to thank you for taking this into consideration, the resolution, not just on SB4, but also against the border wall. We know that these two are very important. I've been engaged with the community for a very, very long time. I've been a coach for Little League here in the city of San Juan. I participated whenever we first held our city league. I've been so involved with the community that I know what the community is talking about whenever they come up and tell me what can we do so that the city can oppose this, so that our police officers can focus on protecting us and serving the community instead of acting as immigration officers. We know that our police officers here in the city of San Juan, they're not trained to act as immigration officers. Which is very important to let the community know that they're here to serve and protect. I encourage you to pass this resolution against Senate Bill 4. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution. Whereas on May 3rd, 2017, the Texas legislature approved Senate Bill 4, and Governor Greg Abbott signed SB 4 into law on May 7, 2017. And whereas the city of San Juan has long embraced and welcomed individuals of diverse racial, religious, national background, including large immigrant population, and whereas fostering a relationship of trust, respect, and open communication between city officials and the community is essential to the city mission of delivering public service, ensuring public safety, public health, and a high-quality life for residents. And whereas the city of San Juan interacts with the community in a number of ways and requesting or investigating immigration status during those interactions is federal matter outside the city's jurisdiction. And whereas Senate Bill 4 will create a negative perception of the government, incite fear in our community, and inhibit fruitful relationships between and the country developing, and whereas the city of San Juan seeks to maintain the right self-govern, particularly on matters relating to public safety. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Second item is the discussion and possible action adopting a resolution opposing the border wall. As Ms. Schwartz?
No, go ahead, it's,
I spoke to you guys, I guess, about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and we've had a hurricane and all kinds of things since then. But we have an urgency on this, and that's why we appreciate you all putting this on a special agenda item. But this is about opposition to the border wall. And what our issues with this, they're very diverse and cover all kinds of areas. But one is the destruction of our natural environmental habitats. Like Santa Ana, the border wall is right behind the visitor center. They've already been surveyed, staked out. They're like ready, as soon as they get the money, to like start laying the, the metal for it. The same with the National Butterfly, La Lomita, Benson Palm State Park. It just goes on and on and on. Like, literally speaking, if DHS gets what they want, Homeland Security, there will be a wall separating all of us from our river. We will not even be able to gain access to anything to do with the Rio Grande, all the way from one end of the county to the other. Actually, this is supposed to go all the way up to Falcon State Park and cut off Falcon Lake even, and through Roma, and it's causing drainage problems. Okay, so that's the natural environment. The wildlife corridor that we've been building for years and years will be destroyed. The wall will go through. The animals can't get it to move up and down the corridor. They're going to be trapped on the backside of it. If we ever flood, they're going to drown. They can't get out. I mean, it just goes on and on. We'll have no access to get through the gates to go to any of these places. So that's one issue. The other is the ecotourism that affects our economy. We're, trying to do better jobs and get more things happening here. The ecotourism industry in Hidalgo County is close to $5 million a year. 160,000 visitors come from all over the world because we have special butterflies and special birds that you can't see anywhere else. The National Butterfly Center over near La Lomita, they just spent over $7 million in private money to build this really grand visitor center by the same architect that built the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. That's how big and special it is that nationally they came down and chose the Rio Grande Valley. That would be gone. You couldn't even get to it anymore. So it's really serious. So that's the impact here. The objective of why we're calling on a special session is the Senate just reconvened today, the day after Labor Day. Right before they recessed, the House passed a defense spending bill that had $1.6 billion in it for the border wall in Hidalgo County. So the Senate is taking that up. That's one of their first measures. It's getting conflicted right now with the hurricane. There's going to be a lot of things going on. It might not happen this week anymore. But anyway, what we want to do is get all the cities in Hidalgo County to stand in solidarity to present to the Senate saying, we don't want this. All the cities here are standing together and saying, no material wall. You can use technology, whatever you want about that, but don't destroy our wildlife. Don't destroy our way of living here. So that's what we're doing. We've passed it everywhere. We're doing 7 today. Special sessions, all kinds of things are going on today. And then Mission already did it. Edinburgh did it today. McAllen did it today. FAR did it today. Hidalgo County's already done it. Cameron County's done it. So pretty soon, within 3 or 4 days, we're going to have this all together and then be able to present it to the Senate and saying Hidalgo County is standing together and in opposition to the border wall. So that's what we're asking of you guys, to pass the resolution and stand with us as we, fight through all this in the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Not, we'll go ahead and proceed with the no border wall resolution. Oh, go ahead, ma'am, I'm sorry.
My name's Cheryl Siebert,
Sir.
and I've been involved with the nature tourism. I was involved with the Harlingen with the Rio Grande Valley Birding Festival for 15 years. I have seen what, I was involved with McAllen with their Texas Tropics Nature Festival. I've seen what the impact can be of the ecotourism. Texas is the #1 birding center in the nation, and the Rio Grande Valley is the #1 hot spot in the valley. We have birds, and like Leslie said, we have birds and butterflies that you will see nowhere else in the nation because we are right on the border, and we get a lot of the, what they call the neotropics, the birds and butterflies that come in from Mexico and Central America.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? I'm going to go ahead and proceed. Whereas there is a proposal to build a wall along the entire U.S. border, Mexico border, and whereas the overwhelming majority of the city of San Juan residents oppose border walls, and whereas the billions of dollars that have been requested for new border walls could be better spent on improved infrastructure and other needs in the city of San Juan or in the Rio Grande Valley, and whereas the trade with our Mexican neighbors substantially contributes to the economy in the city of San Juan, and whereas the city of San Juan, along with other border cities, consistently ranks among the safest cities in the United States, and whereas the city of San Juan values inclusiveness, tolerance, diversity, and welcomes all those who seek to build a life and raise a family here, and whereas the border walls and increase do not address the underlying humanitarian of refugees seeking asylum and families in desperate poverty seeking economic opportunity, and whereas exiting border walls and have excavated these humanitarian crises by punishing migrants, asylum seekers into remote areas where they were more likely to die attempting to cross, and whereas exiting border walls have caused environmental damage, including flooding, erosion, degradation, public lands, fragmented critical wildlife habitat, and distributing wildlife migration patterns. And whereas more than 100 million countless volunteers' hours have been poured into the Lower Rio Grande Valley Wildlife Corridor Restoration Project in an effort to regenerate tracts, deforested land, and other to create corridor along the Rio Grande Valley species like the endangered ocelot and move through the, whereas the ecotourism economy accounts for estimated 463 million per year in revenue in the Rio Grande Valley and depends on high-quality wildlife habitat and people access to the habitat, and whereas the International Boundary and Water Commission levees that protect our communities from the Rio Grande Valley have already rebuilt using the American Recovery Reinvestment Act and funds. Whereas exiting levee border walls cut off old Hidalgo County Pump House World Birding Center for adjacent tract of the Lower Rio Grande Valley National Wildlife Refuge, restricting access to residents and ecotourists despite assurance from Customs and Border Protection that the refuge and its would remain inaccessible, and whereas proposed levee border walls in Hidalgo County would run through Santana National Wildlife Refuge, Benson Rio Grande Valley State Park, natural areas which are important for native wildlife and are the centerpiece of burgeoning ecotourism, including industry, and whereas proposed levee border walls in Hidalgo County would repeatedly cut through the Lower Rio Grande Valley National Wildlife Refuge, fragmenting habitat that is critical to the continued survival of endangered ocelots in South Texas, and whereas the location of proposed levee border walls is up to 2 miles away from the river, and the walls cut off large swamps of land and divide residents' properties. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also have a question of, what do we do to get a signed copy so that we'll have some to, like, send them? Like tomorrow, maybe?
Yes, what we'll do is we have them ready at the Secretary's office. We need to sign them today, though.
Sign them today?
Yeah.
We'll get them signed today. Ms. Leslie, we'll get them signed today. Okay.
Thank you. The next item, Mayor Commissioners, as you know, we had the last workshop, maybe last month, and we brought over before you all the proposed budget wish list. And before you, we have the what we call the recommended city manager's budget. Everybody should have a copy of it. What I like to do is I like to go over the general fund, if I may, and go over the revenues and the expenditures. And just to say that if you look at the first page, once we open it up, it took a long hard time to pretty much stretch those dollars because they're almost ripped at the end. But we tried very hard to accommodate as much as we could with the personnel request, some of the capital outlay that we felt they needed to stay. There was a lot of capital outlay that was requested. However, as you know, not everything was approved because that would be like, and I forget what the number was as far as the requested, total requested at the very first budget book. However, we had to cut it back to what what is actually at $11 million that we currently have as far as revenues coming in. So if you look at that page on the right-hand side, the very last column, if we look at the total revenues that are projected for this coming fiscal year, we're looking at $11,110,059. And at the total expenditures, we're just $112 shy of that. So it's a pretty much balanced budget. If we look at last year's budget or what is currently this year's, we're looking at a savings, or not a savings, but we're looking at and predicting that we're going to be sending back to the to the fund balance, approximately $250,000. Now, with that being said, this money is what we need to anticipate in doing is, if it all depends on how you all decide to vote as far as the merit increase or cost of living increase. And we also need to look at the other expenditure that is about to come, which is we haven't opened up the health insurance. So we don't know at this point whether it's going to go up or is it going to be less. So that's another factor. And the third one is, I know that discussed here previously was that every employee that was at under $10 an hour, you wanted to bring them back, up to $10. So that's another item that we need to look at. But having those savings, $250,000, we feel very confident that we can actually accommodate all of these requests come the next meeting. Once we know what the figures are for the insurance, we have before you. Did we pass out the employees that are under $10, so that you can see the amount that is there that we need to work on.
How many are they, Mr. Hona?
There's about 16 on the general fund, if I'm not mistaken, and just a handful on the sanitation fund.
16 or?
16.
Oh, 16.
Yes. There's not that many employees. But us, the staff, feel strongly that we need to bring them up to at least $10 an hour. I'm sorry? Sanitation. Okay. And the first item, the first page is those employees, and we've broken down by different departments, such as the street and alleys. And all of this is going to be on the general fund, as you see. If all of this was to get approved, we're looking at about $16,000 more additional that we need to bring up to our budget so that everybody would be at least at $10 an hour minimum. And on the sanitation side, it's about $8,500 more. One of the things that we had to do in order to balance the budget, it was very hard, like I mentioned before. It was making some cuts, capital outlay, personnel, and one of the ones that we had to look at, and only because of the fact that we don't have the proper equipment yet, is the public works director. I know that before last fiscal, you guys had approved the creation of a department, but we feel strongly that at this point, I think it's to the best interest of the city to go back the way it was or the way that it is been working, that sanitation oversees this particular department, and that'll save us an additional $50,000 at least on the general fund.
If we have sanitation look over the public works duties?
Yes, sir.
How would the breakdown on that would be? Like your sanitation director would oversee, or would there be another? I'm trying to figure it out. How?
As it is right now, Ms. Carmen is the one that is taking care of the sanitation and
That's
public
correct.
works.
Yes.
And I think it would be nice if maybe we can get her some help, but at this point, she doesn't have any help as far as somebody helping her out. There's divisions that she's going to be overseeing now, which is she currently oversees the central garage, the garbage trucks, what do you call it, sanitation, garbage pickup, the recycling, and the streets and alleys.
Now, is this another director position, or would it be like a supervisor under her, or that?
Preferably, if that'll be the direction that you want us to follow, we can go with the supervisors under Ms. Carmen.
The supervisors, how many are we talking about?
We can maybe have a supervisor for central garage and maybe the garbage pickup and disposal, garbage and the sanitation trucks, and maybe another one on the recycling side and the streets and alleys.
And right now, who does all that? Carmen?
Yes.
Okay, so we get the supervisors, now they start taking care of that, what does Carmen do?
Well, she's gonna be
Just oversee, making sure that everything, and they answer to
concentrating
her?
on what the actual administrative duties are. Overseeing that, because right now she's running all over the place. If there's a street that needs to be patched, if there's some concrete that needs to be laid on any type of street, she's the one that is actually overseeing them. And then she's losing time over at the office because there's a lot of emails that, going over to her, and I just feel that she's overwhelmed at this point. And maybe with your permission and direction, maybe we can allow her to get a couple of supervisors and help her out in this aspect. Now, we don't have to go out and advertise. Maybe we can do it in-house. We feel that we have some capable employees that can maybe step it up and become supervisors. We have a handful, Ms. Carmen?
Well, again, I'm totally agree with that before we even try to, you promote within, and I know we have good qualified city workers that can go in there and fill, but we're looking at what, 2 supervisors?
Yes, that'll be 2 supervisors. And at first, we thought about maybe splitting those duties. However, the fact of the matter is that we don't have the luxury of buying equipment just to start a new department. And maybe at this point, slowly but surely, if we start buying the equipment, maybe in the next few years, maybe we'll have the luxury of saying sanitation will be one department and maybe public works another department. But for the meantime, I think it would be best if we have a couple of, those 2 divisions or 2 departments be into one. The next page that was passed out, that's the cost of living increase. And I broke it down for you on 4, 2, 4, 5, which is the 1%, the 1.5, 2%, 2.5, and 3%. This is the cost of living increase. And Mr. Leroy Gonzalez was very generous in doing that, so you can have an idea as to what it'll take additional monies to cover that 1.5 or the 2% increase, or 2.5, 3% increase. And it's broken up by the different departments, the general fund, the sanitation, utilities. Again, the sanitation utilities are very, very healthy fund. General fund, it's one of those we'll look at very closely. Again, we have 250,000 that we're looking into putting back into our fund balance. However, with this monies, we feel very strongly that we can accommodate any of these increases, and the cost of living increase.
Where you're showing funds, and you're saying like a 2%, the bottom numbers, what would cover to give an increase to everybody?
That'll be the grand total, yes, sir. Again, that's 105 for the general, sanitation 17, and utilities 20,000.
So now, if we go ahead and approve the $10 minimum pay now, and then we approve a cost of living pay increase, the individuals that get the $10, are they gonna get an additional, the 2%, or they're not?
And that's something that we talked about, Mayor, Commissioners, that preferably, if you could give them at least the $10, and then a raise on top of that.
Together?
Yes,
Okay.
together.
Okay.
Because otherwise, it's gonna be like you get a raise, and then a couple of other cents just to make it a $10, versus getting $10 and then getting the raise.
No, no, that was just my concern.
Yes.
Okay.
Say you feel confident we can accommodate. When will we know for sure if we can accommodate?
Leroy ran the numbers, and we feel
Check
confident
out?
that, yeah. We double and triple check the numbers.
Okay, Mr. Juana, if Carmen will get those supervisors, those two supervisors that Commissioner Maldonado says, are we removing anybody from, if she's gonna be short now from the departments where you're gonna put two other supervisors doing something else, supervising, are we gonna hire at least two more for her to replace those two supervisors,
And
or?
I guess we can replace those two individuals, or we could just give them additional duties, yes.
When will you get information on the health insurance? Because we're still waiting on that one.
Looking at the next coming meeting, Mr. Rene? The next coming meeting, we're opening up the bids? Yes,
Advertising this Wednesday.
but it's not gonna be until the next meeting, right, the last September. So we're gonna present to you guys
The last meeting in September.
I'm sorry?
The last meeting in September?
Yes.
Won't get a dollar amount until then. So it could be less than the 250 that you're estimating as far as being available for these increases?
Well, it all depends on the insurance, and
That's what I'm saying.
if we
It all
were to
depends.
stay with TML, my understanding is that the premium was supposed to go up 7%. What was that equivalent to, Ms. Cordero, 7%? Was it 20,000? Right? It's a little bit under 20,000. If we were to stay with TML.
Kind of guessing to see what that insurance, what we're gonna be at.
And the 250 would go back into the general account?
Fund balance, yes.
Yes. Okay. So we will go with the 3%, and there is an increase in the insurance, we still have 100,000 to work with, correct?
But the additional for the supervisors, if you were to increase them, their salary, when you move, it's not accountable in the budget, in this year
Taken
budget
into
yet, right?
account?
Take it into account?
Yes, the supervisor position?
It's not on the budget, but it's with the $250,000.
With the 100,000.
Well, yes, 100,000. Now, as far as, if we're to hire from within, the increase in salary will be minimal. It'll be anywhere between $500 to $5,500 a person, a supervisor. So it's not gonna be like 30,000, 40,000. So for both, we're looking at something like 11,000, maybe 12,000 for both of them, maybe less than that. If we need to replace them, or we just assign additional duties, yes.
Now, again, Ben, if we assign, we don't get two to replace the two that jump up, we assign them more duties, are they getting compensated more?
Now, if we
And-
decide to replace them, I'm sorry, we decide to replace them, then, like I said, this is a healthy fund that they have, is the sanitation department. I mean, it's not like, they're very
Not-
healthy.
You're not tapping into the general
No.
fund.
This will not be coming out of the. Yes. Worst comes to worst, we can hire two more people.
And plus you said that they'll be getting a little bit more extra for the supervisor to do a little bit more.
We can go over in a few minutes, if you don't have any more questions on the general fund, we can go to the sanitation fund so you can see the amount of money that we're gonna be transferring back.
You know, I know that our employees deserve the 3%, but, you know, for us to the city to be in the safe side, I would say something like a 2.5, you know, where we can have a little cushion regardless where the insurance goes and other things that might come up. That's my opinion.
On the budget, I know it's set up a little bit different, but did Chief get the jailers that he was requesting?
2 jailers that
Two.
he requested.
Did Chief Tirso Garza get any additional firefighters?
I believe so.
3?
3.
Did Mr. Cervantes get any trucks?
Over the curb, so we decided not to.
No? You didn't get them, sir? Not yet?
They couldn't find a maroon one.
Did Ms. Cordero get her full-time?
Ms. Cordero?
Yes.
Yes, like I said, there was some of the employees, departments that I didn't touch the personnel request. So
Well,
that
that's what I'm
one-
asking, because I didn't look through it, and
Yeah,
I just want
we
to make
did.
sure.
Chief got the jailers, but did you get the patrolmen that you were trying to increase? Because I know you only have 3 patrolmen per shift, right?
We have an average of 5, but based on comp time and leave, so minimum
Vacant-
staffing is 3.
How many vacancies do we have at this time?
Right now, I just hired 2 this morning, so we have 5 vacancies.
We got a total of 7?
That's
Two filled.
correct.
We're pending that grant, like Chief mentioned, is an additional 3.
Make it a full-time?
Yes, it's there. I know we tried to get a health inspector for Mr. Cervantes, but we just couldn't afford it. It was another department, another position, plus it'll be additional supplies and possibly an additional staff for like a clerk position, so.
The request for the change of, to job description, job title, did you keep them, or did,
Well, one of the things that we're taking into consideration is the fact that we're gonna do the comprehensive plan
right,
with the personnel.
So we're gonna
human
wait until
resources.
after the
We're
comprehensive
gonna wait
plan?
until that.
okay.
The next item, or the next section is the sanitation fund, or the solid waste fund. And that'll be on page, then, Mr. Gonzalez,
75.
75?
72.
Yes. Page 75, 74.
Alleyway.
75, it is 75, so.
One more, keep on going, keep on going. There you go. Sanitation waste.
We look at the last column, for the total revenues, we're looking at 2.890,943, with the total expenditures at 2.5. That'll leave us a $358,000. So at the end of the day, for this fiscal year, we're anticipating that because of the expenditures and the revenues, we're looking at $516,000 at $516,912. It's not there on your booklet, but that's what we're estimating, because we haven't closed the month of September nor August, right?
August.
But that's the estimate that we have, $516,000 that we're gonna send back to their fund balance on the sanitation.
516?
516,912. That's typically the average on a yearly basis. Last year, Ms. Gonzalez, what was it, 770? But because we did some franchise coming over this way, we took an additional 200,000. So it's about average that we've been sending back to the fund balance, or to their fund balance. So at this point, as you can see, I mentioned that even if we were to get an additional couple of employees, it's not really gonna affect us.
Being healthy. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
The last one is the utility department. Even though that we tried, and Mr. Salinas is here, that maybe he can elaborate some more. on some capital improvement projects. At this point, it was kind of difficult and tough to accommodate all of those. I know that we have, what do you call that, Mr. Salinas, the CIP plan, the CIP? And it hasn't been followed for the past 10 years, Mr. Salinas, or is it the past 5 years?
The plan was put in 2011, so
2011.
it has not been followed since
So
2011.
it's one of those things that we're gonna try to follow, maybe not catch up and do all of the ones that were proposed, but maybe do the ones that we really need, some of those CIPs. Because if we were to take on all of them, it was gonna be over 6-7 million, probably more than that. So we're gonna face it in a way that we're not gonna do it all at once. So at that fund balance, that retained earnings, we're looking at about $124,000 that we're gonna be sending back to their retained earnings. And that's just an estimate. And it's a very conservative estimate that we made. If you look at the revenues on the very last column where it says final, we're looking at total revenues of 5.4 million and total expenditures at 4.3 million. So that'll leave us about $1,093,000. However, some of those monies are supposed to go back to the bond issuance, right? But at the end, we're estimating about $124,000 surplus. On the very back, we give you a summary of the personnel request that was requested, that everything that was requested is here on the booklet, and also capital outlay. If you have any questions, pretty much everybody's here, so that every department director. So the next step on this one, Mayor Commissioners, it'll be I guess, accepting the budget, and then we'll bring it back on the next meeting for the first reading. And we'd like to see if you would like to go with the 2, the 2.5, or the 3% increase on the merit increase, or the cost of living increase.
Real quick, Mr. Juan, I'm looking at the sanitation fund as far as the reclassifications. You do have under heavy truck driver, changed to sanitation coordinator and street and recycling coordinator. So we're already reclassifying 2 positions as coordinators, and then we're still gonna get supervisors?
Oh, no, that was, why do we have that, Mr. Garza Gonzalez? Under sanitation,
Under sanitation?
page 79?
I don't see a page number on it.
Well,
That's in the back.
Oh, the one on the very back?
Yeah, the reclassifications,
Let me see.
right. Are these the supervisor positions that are listed here, or? Because this says sanitation coordinator and street and recycling coordinator. The pay increase of 5.1 and 5.4.
Yeah, those were just numbers that we threw in there, just so that,
So these are not changes that are gonna take place if we approve it.
if you approve them, this may be some of the changes, the money-wise.
So we're gonna have coordinators and supervisors.
It'll be not coordinator, it'll be supervisor.
So that's what I'm saying. So
Yes.
this title is not
No, it's not the,
accurate.
it's not the coordinators.
Don't have supervisors and then coordinators under the
Right,
supervisors.
no.
So, what direction do you need us to go to? We need to decide on the, cost of living?
Cost of living?
Okay. Gentlemen,
I would like to go with 3%. I'll make a motion to go with a 3% cost of living adjustment.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. We're going at 3%.
And then the next item, Mayor Commissioners, is the public hearing, hold a second public hearing adopting the proposed tax rate and levy for the City of San Juan, Texas for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2017 and ending September 30th, 2018. Mr. Gonzalez.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission.
Good evening.
This is the second hearing of public hearing of a tax rate. We did, on Tuesday, August 8, 2017, the Commission approved the proposed tax rate of 6.06993 for fiscal year October 1st, 2017 to September 30th, 2018. And it's scheduled two required public hearings, one on August 22nd, and then one on September 5th, 2017. The proposed rate stayed the same as last year. However, in accordance with the property tax law, if the property tax rate is 6.993 exceeds the effective tax rate of 0.6685, a road tax rate of 0.7290. Therefore, two public hearings on the proposed tax rate will be required before the City Commission adopts the tax rate.
I'm going to go ahead and open this at 6:44 for the public. Is there anyone here for or against? For or against? State your name for the record, sir, please.
Rick,
Thank you.
I'm for keeping the current proposed tax rate, the one similar to last year, but I suggest that looking forward to next fiscal year, proposing to lower the taxes. I think it's just about time that the people deserve the tax to go down. It's been a long time coming already, and to be more responsible with our taxes. Because I've seen the budget that's been proposed a couple of years, and there are ideas that are mentioned by the department heads, and I commend them for proposing them, but not all the time they are adopted. That seems to be the problem. There's ideas that have been proposed, but when it comes down to voting on them, they're just neglected. And those ideas, if proposed, they save the people money, because those ideas are in there for the long run, not like the ones that are currently proposed for a short-term problem solving. Like the budget that was held a couple of weeks ago for the workshop, there's a couple of them that increase our spending for this budget. So what I would like to see is have more workshops that give the departments the know-how that their ideas will be thought about carefully in the best interest of the people, not on just the commission, because the financial department, city manager, and each department head has a responsibility for the people, not just for them and the commission. Think about the people when spending. Responsible spending is always good spending. Look forward to that for next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Else? Members of the commission, any questions? No? If not, I'm going to go ahead and close this at 6:46 p.m. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Before we adjourn, Mayor Commissioners, if I may, I just want to thank the Finance Department and all the department staff
for working with us on this particular budget. I know it was very, very hard to balance it. There was a lot of cuts that we had to make, and thinking about our budget restraints, and I think we did finance department and the department directors did a tremendous job in balancing our budget. So I want to commend them for that. Thank you all.
I also want to commend you, directors and all the employees for doing a well job. You know, it's every year our goal is to try to, help out as far as giving you guys some kind of incentives. And I know sometimes we really got to buckle down. This year, we were able to, do what we got to do. And unfortunately, things are looking good. We're heading the right direction, and as well with the community. And I thank you, community members out there, for really supporting this commission. We got a lot of good things coming. My next goal is maybe next year we can do this again. As far as the pay increase, be effective with our community as well, their needs. And I really think that we are taking the city of San Juan into a whole new direction, and it's going to be for the good. So I really thank everyone for being part of this organization. Thank you. Anyone else? If not, is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. 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 Meeting has been adjourned. Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah.